Good evening and a very warm welcome to Thai PBS English News Service. I'm Supachon Klinsuwan. Hopeful Pheu Thai MPs were clearly disappointed today after the House Speaker announced the postponement of the deliberation of 4 reconciliation bills to next Wednesday because MP's path was blocked by yellow shirt protesters and the House members could not get into the building. Meanwhile, following a 3-day gathering in front of Parliament, leaders of the People's Alliance for Democracy, or Yellow Shirts, have dispersed, but will be back next week preparing for a long stay. Around 6 p.m. today, Banthe Pongpuapan, spokesperson of the PID, announced on their stage set up outside Parliament that their 3-day gathering had ended in success after the debate on the controversial reconciliation bills were halted. The PID claims that the bills will pave the way for fugitive former PM Thaksin Shinawatra to return to Thailand as an innocent man and have 4.6 billion baht of his frozen assets returned. The PID protesters agreed to disperse for now, but they will be back at the Makwan Rangsan Bridge next Tuesday prior to the House's deliberation of the reconciliation bills rescheduled to take place on Wednesday and Thursday. The PAD claiming that they are prepared to stay for as long as necessary and might even mobilize their supporters to other locations as they see fit. Back in 2008, the Yellow Shirts stated camping outside Government House in May and finally dispersed in December. Meanwhile, on the other side of the political spectrum, leaders of the Red Shirt Movement or the United Front for Democracy Against Dictatorship say they will not yet announce any protest or gathering. Pheu Thai MP and core Red Shirt leader Jatuporn Prompan says that even if there were to be a gathering of red shirts in the capital, there will be no clashes. He claims that what the Democrats and the PAD are doing inside and outside Parliament could mean they want to reset the board game. To reset the board game is interpreted by some analysts as meaning a coup d'etat. Meanwhile, academics and businesses agree that if the protest and political gridlock extend to a long period, it will surely have a negative effect over the economy and tourism. Phaiboon Phonsuwanna, the chief of the Thai National Shippers Council, stated that foreign traders have been asking about the political situation in Thailand and most are afraid of damages like the past years. His fingers are crossed it will not affect exports. Thailand's exports has only a few months ago fully recovered itself from 4 months' loss to the severe floods and the European debt crisis. Meanwhile, Professor Tirana Pong Makapat, former Dean of Economics at Chulalongkorn University, says the situation gives a negative look on the country's image and, one way or another, have a hit on the Thai economy. He says that the reconciliation bill shouldn't be on the move until the society sets a consensus. Meanwhile, Ditsawat Chiwaratanapan of the Association of Thai Travel Agents says he is worried about the effect on tourism, yet there have not yet been any cancellation of flights or inbound tourists. As a result of not being able to control the protesters from blocking MPs to enter the House, the Metropolitan Police Commander was immediately transferred into the Royal Thai Police Headquarters. However, the Pheu Thai MPs who managed to get into and out of Parliament were not injured. The parliamentary debate on the 4 reconciliation bills was originally scheduled to start at 9:30 a.m. this morning. In fact, by that time, only around 70 MPs were present in the debating chamber. The session could not begin, so the other MPs, especially Pheu Thai MPs, were being prevented from entering the Parliament's compound. Somsakit Suranon, House Speaker, announced that he will call the meeting to start at 1:30 p.m. instead. Some Pheu Thai MPs who were already in Parliament had to sneak out through the back gates to avoid confrontation with protesters. And as many people had speculated, the 1:30 p.m. deadline came and went without the debate starting. There were reports that the House Speaker had a plan B, which involved convening Parliament at a hotel or at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to assure that they passed this bill. The police, however, advised not to do so, believing the protesters would surely follow. The Speaker finally decided to postpone the debate to next Wednesday and Thursday. As a result of not being able to control the protesters, Police General Piyapan Damapong ordered Police Lieutenant General Winai Thongsong, the Metropolitan Police Commander, to be transferred from his post to the police headquarters. Police Lieutenant General Kamron Wittukajang is now in charge of the Metropolitan Police Force, and it's believed that the 3-day protest did not end with violence because the police now have experience in dealing with the PAD demonstrators from the previous years. Today was the end of the World Economic Forum on East Asia 2012. Here's more with Dr. Runtip Chonapalai.
The leader of Myanmar's opposition party, Aung San Suu Kyi, has continued to be the center of attention here at the World Economic Forum on East Asia 2012. Of course, Aung San Suu Kyi has called on international investors to focus more on transparency.
Not contribute. And why are we not allowed to contribute? I think that women can contribute in every way, but we're not allowed to. I was listening very carefully to what our moderator was saying, and I was struck by the fact that economic development does not equal the narrowing of the gender gap, because Japan and South Korea.
Aung San Suu Kyi urged investors to help in developing Myanmar and not just look at profits they could make from the country. To be developed sustainably, Myanmar needs to create jobs and increase vocational education. Suu Kyi also said that the contribution women make to each country's economy is obviously considerable, specifically in Myanmar. However, they have not had enough opportunity to be politically active. That is why the economy lacks of vitality. According to Suu Kyi, the cultural limitation is an obstacle to addressing this issue. Therefore, gender equality in education should be greatly and urgently encouraged. The Secretary General of ASEAN said that a freer flow of labor in this region is key to ASEAN economic connectivity, as it will present new opportunities for skilled and unskilled laborers alike. Still, a greater understanding of the wide diversity of cultures that make up ASEAN is vital for business growth and expansion. Meanwhile, a preeminent professor from Columbia University says that Greece's debt crisis will have little impact on this region. Here's more from Kun Bandit Gert Bandit.
At the ASEAN Connectivity Roadmap to 2015 meeting, Joseph Stiglitz, professor at Columbia University, warned of the possibility of a brain drain as the ASEAN economic community paves the way for easier skilled labor mobility. He suggested that talent might leave the native countries and converge in more developed nations for a higher income. Hence, a lot of emphasis needs to be placed on strengthening local institutional frameworks and cultivating human capital. Piggybacking on the American economist's rationale, Surin Pitsuwan, Secretary General of ASEAN, agreed that the region has to be very mindful about embarking on labor migration, which should be done on a step-by-step basis. Earlier in the year, ASEAN members forged agreements to facilitate free movement among 8 professions, including doctors, engineers, and architects. Although there will be resistance to a complete free flow of workers in the early stages of the AEC, Pitsuwan believes that greater labor movement will be achieved, and even emphasized that it is the only way for economic connectivity to become a reality. Nonetheless, Malvinder Singh, executive chairman of Fortis Healthcare, doubted that the skilled workforce can move that easily from one country to another as projected by Stiglitz, as supply and demand for labor exist in every profession. On the other hand, as much as skilled labor stands to benefit, he considers that unskilled labor will also share part of the economic pie, as integration promotes new intra-regional entrepreneurship. Still, Singh advised that ASEAN citizens have to learn about each other's diverse culture for this level of connectivity to be attained. On the subject of the potential impact of the EU debt crisis on ASEAN, Stiglitz revealed that whether Greece remains in the Eurozone or not, there will be insignificant repercussions, maybe just mild economic uncertainty and a temporary freezing of financial markets in the short run. However, ASEAN governments should be prepared for a possible negative effect on trade and make every effort to move from export-led growth by spurring domestic spending from within. And in order to avoid repeating the mistakes made by the Eurozone nations, the panelists unanimously concurred that ASEAN will not create a common currency, or at least not anytime soon. This is Bandit Gert Bandit, Thai PBS.
This is the first opportunity for Thailand to host World Economic Forum on East Asia and to tell the world that Thailand is not only a fantastic tourist destination but also an exciting business destination, as Thailand is the economic growth is currently the second in the region. Here's more from Kun Kankorn Raktham.
This year is the first time Thailand has hosted the World Economic Forum on East Asia. Despite the political conflicts outside the forum, the international business and political leaders inside see it as an element of democracy and still believe in Thailand's potential and complimented the Thai government for its excellent support of the WEF. Thailand is regarded as a hub of this region and is surrounded by new growing markets like Laos, Myanmar and Vietnam. This makes Thailand the ideal location for now anyway to deliberate on the theme of connectivity.
Because I think part of the success of the meeting lies in the fact that we showed many of Thailand's capabilities. Thailand is known around the world as a perhaps inward destination for travelers and tourists. But we have 18 member companies from Thailand. These are leading enterprises from your country. We had strong participation from the government. The Prime Minister and her cabinet ministers were actively involved in these discussions.
Sushan Palakirtirao, Senior Director of WEF, says that this is a great opportunity for Thailand to convey the message to the world that Thailand is not just about tourism but also a business destination, adding that this forum doesn't encourage only policy implementation but also the connectivity between the people across the globe. Myanmar will host the WEF on East Asia 2013 at Naypyidaw, which will be watched closely by the global business community, especially so close to the start of the AEC in 2015, to see how ready the country is to enter the global economy. Kankorn Raktham, Thai PBS.
Earlier, I spoke to Jaspal Singh Bindra, Chief Executive Officer Asia of Standard Chartered, who said that ASEAN is the most exciting region in the world and will attract more investors. Here's more.
The initial sort of agreement around the collaboration was quite distinctly different from Europe. Europe was more sort of trying to get to a union bloc. Here it's more trying to be connected and unified, which is slightly different. So they were not talking about a common currency, etc. So I think there are 3 or 4 priorities that if we get right, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of bond markets, in terms of free flow of labor, etc., then I think we have a good situation coming. And I find that the enthusiasm among all the 10 member states is very strong. So it's going to be a bottoms-up push, whereas in Europe it was more driven top-down from Germany, France being more interested than the rest.
Yeah. But also right now in Thailand we have quite a political in terms of instability. You think that it will somewhat draw back or maybe be the obstacle for the investors?
Well, it's not really my turf, but I can tell you that the world over, the political challenges are far more severe than there is in Thailand. I think we've seen the worst here behind us, and I think the way they are investing in infrastructure, the way the economy is recovered, and the way they manage the flood situation, and the reputation and the fact that they are having the World Economic Forum here with all the top economic and political leaders from around this region present is a great testimony to the future and strength of Thailand.
Okay, so you think that now overall, how is the WEF on East Asia this time so far?
Very good, very good. I thought the attendance here was very impressive. I think the way they've arranged the program, and obviously having Aung San Suu Kyi here is a big draw, and that's an extra bonus. So now I think all in all, it's been a very successful event.
And that's all from the World Economic Forum on East Asia 2012. Now back to Kun Supajon.
Thank you, Dr. Rungtip. And Monday is Visakha Busha Day, or Day of the Vesak, and the Health Ministry and the anti-alcohol campaigners are asking shops and the public to obey the alcohol control law on religious days. During the 24 hours of June the 3rd, which is from 1 minute after midnight Sunday night until the stroke of midnight Monday night, the owners of any shops found selling alcohol could be jailed for 6 months and fined 10,000 baht. June the 3rd this year is the full moon of the 6th lunar month, or Visakha Busha Day, a religious day for Buddhists to celebrate the birth, enlightenment, and death of the Lord Buddha, all of which falling on the same date. However, some Thai holiday makers are using this long holiday as an excuse to party and get drunk. And that's all the time we have for tonight's edition of Thai PBS English News Service. We'll see you again next week. I'm Subhajong Tinsuwan. Sawadee krap.